TheAnswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Maine Governor Janet Mills, big talker. Remember, she had that public exchange with President again Trump over men and girls sports at a meeting where he was addressing the nation's governors.
Yeah,
We'll see you in court.
Yep, got a little mouthy there, huh?
We'll see you in court, and
we'll see you in court.
Trump said, "I'm looking forward to it." Well, the Trump administration has brought the University of Maine, the Black Bears, to heel. University of Maine announcing it will comply with policies restricting men from participating in women's sports after the U.S. Department of Agriculture suspended the school system's funding for research and programs. Boy, you get the attention of these imperious colleges. We've seen the same thing with Columbia.
Well, yeah, they caved on Friday. No more masks and no more rallies, and they get their $400 million.
Well, you can have rallies on campus, but you can't take over the campus and hold it hostage and have no-go zones for Jewish students and so forth. This is where you run into problems. Very interesting. Once the money stops flowing, you get the attention of these educrats. Well, we've got another case. This out of Port Townsend, Washington State. Port Township City Pool, operated by the local YMCA, has a policy that allows men who identify as women to use women's bathroom locker rooms. The YMCA did not publicize the policy, so this policy was unbeknownst to women who all of a sudden go into the bathroom or locker room and see a dude there. And
they didn't warn the women.
A woman named Julie Jaman is now suing the city of Port Washington over this. For more on the topic and this case, we're pleased to be joined by Mark Trammell, who's the executive director of the Center for American Liberty. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
So lay out the case for us.
So, Julie was swimming at the Y every morning as part of her routine. She's an 82-year-old grandmother. After her morning swim, she goes into the locker room, gets cleaned up. As she's in the shower, she hears a man's voice. She peers around the corner and sees a grown man in a woman's bathing suit helping two young girls get undressed. Oh. So she confronts the man and then starts speaking out against this policy that allows men to change and men to be in the ladies' locker rooms. As a result of her speech, the YMCA banned her for life. Now, what's interesting about this case, and this is something that really happens across the country, people don't realize it, is that in this particular matter, the YMCA is operating a pool and recreational facilities that are owned by the city. So we are arguing in court. We filed a lawsuit under the First Amendment. Julie was banned in retaliation of her speech. And so we have sued both the city itself and the YMCA, asserting that because this is a publicly owned recreational facility, those First Amendment rights have to extend. And in this case, it's this kind of legal theory of a joint action. So the YMCA is putting itself in the shoes of the government. So here the government cannot just employ a private actor to do its dirty work and skirt constitutional responsibilities.
This is like the Twitter files cases in a sense.
Absolutely.
On the day in question, she complained, and the YMCA staff called the police on her?
They actually launched an entire public relations attack on Julie, continuing to attack her credibility, attack because of the words she was saying. It's Washington State. This is not necessarily the Bible Belt down in the South, where you may have a few more people that agree with you on this issue. They were ruthless in attacking her character, and that was all in retaliation to her having just a really common sense response to seeing a grown man in a woman's bathing suit helping two young girls get undressed in the ladies' locker room.
Of course they did, because they have to use her as an example to others to say, don't even think about protesting the policy, otherwise we'll do to you what we're doing to Julie. That's the point.
That's right. That's right. It's intimidation. They're trying to censor all of us from speaking out by making an example out of Julie.
The two young girls that this dude was helping to change, what do we know more there? The relationship, if there was one?
There's not a relationship to Julie. She was just a concerned grandmother, as any of us would be in that situation. If we were to witness what Julie witnessed, I think 99% of us would intervene, just assuming that something nefarious is going on. At a minimum, this is inappropriate.
But was the man identifying as a woman?
The man was identifying as a woman, yes.
Wearing a woman's bathing suit with...
Well, do we know that if those were his kids?
They were not, no.
that's a
so
whole
he's
other
just
problem,
hanging out in
it?
the bathroom and helping little kids change into their bathing suits? What a pervert. I mean,
it's just all totally wrong. It's totally wrong, but this is kind of the world we live in. If you call out something like this, like Julie did, you get banned for life.
But you're trying to lift her lifetime ban from the YMCA. I mean, if she swims every day, this is an integral part of her life, and she wants to keep going back to the YMCA. Are you trying to lift it?
Well, she's a taxpayer, too.
Yeah.
She's a taxpayer who's been part funding this.
That's right. That's right. No, we're the goal of this is to we have to not only restore her ability to swim every day at the Y. I mean, that's something that Julie does. It's a very social component of her daily routine. As you can imagine, it's like going to the coffee shop. You see your friends there. You see people in your community. There's a feeling of belonging as a result of that. But we also need to take a stand, because if we allow for Julie to be canceled, then it gives a license for the YMCA. It gives a license for cities across the country to do this. And to your point earlier, this is very similar to the Twitter file. I mean, this is one case, but the broader implications of what happens here are staggering.
I mean, I don't want to dismiss the First Amendment issue, but I mean, did the Port Townsend police who were called, did they have any questions about the guy helping young girls change in the locker room that weren't his kids? No.
In fact, I believe that person is actually employed by the Y.
The person that...
He's employed by the Y. And so, but I mean...
wow.
I mean, is the Y... I don't know what the dynamics were. That's why I'm asking. Is the Y essentially in the position of defending a possible predator in the girls' locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Y asserts here and defends itself, saying that nothing inappropriate was happening. I think any reasonable observer would say that this is inappropriate, and that's why Julie stood up and spoke out, had the courage to do so.
And what's the community reaction? What's happening to Julie now? What's the talk of the town?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of a mixed bag. I think there are a lot of folks who are in agreement with Julie. I think there's a lot of people who are in agreement with Julie who aren't willing to necessarily put their neck out on the line as well. There's kind of like this silent majority that we look at this and we think this is common sense. Of course, there are differences between men and women, and of course, a man cannot become a woman, and a woman cannot become a man. Like this is basic, just basic biology. But finding people to, especially in a hostile environment, to that basic understanding of biology, it's a little bit harder to find folks that are willing to stand up and to be canceled alongside Julie.
Well, I'm sure you're aware of it. We have this case in Deerfield, Illinois, and sort of north suburban Illinois middle school, where a mom went to a school board meeting and said the administrators tried to get my daughter and some of her friends, the 13-year-old girls, to change in front of another middle schooler who recently identified as a girl. He's a boy who's now identifying as a girl, and they wouldn't do it. And there's audio of administrators trying to pressure the girls, like you can do that, you cannot do it, or you can do a gender neutral thing. They don't want to do that. You could not do this, but you can't change the, we're not changing the policy. And if you keep referring to him as a he, then there'll be disciplinary consequences because you're misgendering him and so forth. And what you saw at the school board meeting was, these trans activists from outside the district, and I'm sure around the country, that descended on the school board to try to drown out this one mom who basically was alone at that meeting in terms of the position on that issue. And I wonder if you're seeing something similar there, where you've got now this is a focal point and you've got trans activists activated to descend on poor Townsend.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's quite to the level that you've just described, but there is definitely a component of that, an element of that where I think
and where is
far left or galvanizing.
Where is this case in terms of the courts? Where is it now?
Yeah, so it's in federal district court at this point. It's moving fairly slowly, but at this point we're still in federal district court.
And the city of Port Townsend, I mean, there's not any discussion with they haven't offered any sort of accommodation or a rethinking of policy. They're digging in.
Yeah, I mean, they're defending themselves. The YMCA is defending itself. Certainly not wanting to admit that they are a state actor in this regard. They've stepped into the shoes of the government, doing a government function, and should be responsible to the Constitution. They're certainly defending themselves against that claim as well. So we're prepared to litigate this matter, continue to litigate this matter, see it through. We look at this as it's a travesty what's going on in the city of Port Townsend. It's terrible what's happened to Julie, but if it happens to Julie in Washington State, It can happen in Chicago, it can happen in Florida, it can happen across the country. And so we have to take a stand, and we cannot allow this to continue, because it is absolute just gender anarchy. And to your point a moment ago, looking at what's going on in schools, I mean, in that situation alone, you have constitutional implications. You have First Amendment rights of students being forced to quote unquote misgender another student. They're just being forced to lie about reality. You have parental rights that are being violated. You have Title IX rights that are being violated. And I'm really hopeful that this new Department of Justice will do the right thing, that they will take a look at these Title IX violations. They will investigate these schools that are denying women equal opportunity to educational opportunities and facilities, and that they'll hold them accountable.
Well, we'll be watching this Julie Jaman case for sure. Mark Trammell, Executive Director of the Center for American Liberty. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Spring, a time to get outside, be active, play with the grandkids, enjoy life. But if high blood pressure is holding you back, the sooner you get control of it, the sooner you'll stop being a walking time bomb. High blood pressure is a serious issue. Your blood vessels are constricted, your mortality risk is high. So what can you do besides take medications with side effects? Well, there's a delicious juice that can help bring your numbers back down. It's called 120